You may have never experienced true love. Like this couple here, maybe this is true love that they share. Because true love is a feeling of loving someone unconditionally and looking past the flaws. So, most people have experienced love in their life at one point or another. Now, of course, there have been people who haven't, but there are a lot of people who have experienced at least some level of love from a partner that's outside of your own family. And you may have found it easy to express this love when you were younger. But maybe when you grew older, it was a bit harder because a lot of conditioning sets in, that maybe there's a lot of shame involved. So if you have experienced love before, and perhaps it was easier for you to express it without shame when you were younger, but as an adult, it's a bit harder, well, you have to begin to unravel where that's coming from. What sort of trauma that you have endured, what sort of situations, life situations that have happened as a result of this love being misconstrued to make you believe that it's something bad. There's a lot to unpack there because conditioning sets in and makes it hard to express it as an adult. So it's very, very hard to unwind that conditioning. Now let's just say, okay, you may have fallen in love with a partner. And, well, if you've experienced the feeling of love before, very early on, it's very intense. It's a very intense feeling. And it's very, very strong initially. It's almost like you just have this infatuation towards someone that you've just met, or maybe you've known them for a little bit. Maybe it could be a slow build-up. Other times it could be very, very quickly. It all depends. It could be their appearance that draws you to them, but maybe they don't have the best personality. Or maybe it's also, well, you begin to know them, you begin to know who they are, and you begin to start to fall in love with them. Whatever the case is, whether it be appearance or the way that they are, their personality, or maybe both of them, when you start to feel some of those feelings, for some people, it can be very intense to the point where it's just constant obsession, constant thoughts about the person, and you just cannot get them out of your mind whatsoever. In that case, it can start off a bit too intense. When it's too intense, it's like if you look at a graph, go up, 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 peak. It reaches a peak, much like these mountains here behind me. It reaches a peak and then it quickly begins to fall off. But when does it begin to fall off? That is the big question here. So let's just say you and your partner have met. You've known each other for a few months at this point, and you have a lot of deep passion and love for one another. And you love the person that they are. They love the person that you are. And perhaps, well, you don't actually live together yet. Let's just say then, you've been together for a while. Maybe like a few years even, like a year or two. And then you decide you're going to get married. But you still have not lived with them yet. But you still have this strong, intense love. It's absolutely amazing. Well, you get married, you begin to live together. You start spending day in and day out with this person. And initially everything is fine. Maybe for the first year, 2 years, maybe even 3 years, it's okay. Usually it's a little bit after like the 1 year mark, maybe like the 2 year mark is when things start to really set in. And you're like, I really don't have these intense feelings anymore like I used to. It's like that intense love that you had has faded away. And maybe theirs has also faded away. They begin to change, you accuse them of changing, and they accuse you of changing. Both of you completely unaware that you have changed as well. Both of you have changed. Because you're starting to fall out of love with one another. Because you're starting now to see the flaws with one another. You're living together day in and day out. You're spending a lot of time together, and you're starting to see, maybe even starting to question, why did I marry this person? Why did I marry them? Maybe you begin to reflect back and you start to realize I should have seen the red flags. The red flags were all there. They have always been there. But the thing was, back when you were madly in love with them, you saw past them. Or maybe you thought that they would change after you got married. You thought, I can change them. I can change this person. I can make them a better person. But the reality is you cannot change them whatsoever. So when the reality sets in that this is how they are, and now you're married to them, and now you're stuck with them, you begin to feel as though you've made a mistake, something really, really bad. And they perhaps feel the same exact way. And because both of you are not communicating about it, it creates this tension, this conflict that constantly arises that results in constant disputes and bickering and just stuff that is just not healthy. And that's why a lot of people end up getting divorced. Either that or they do their best to stick it out, but they're going to be cheating behind the scenes. And this is the sad reality when you blindly go into a relationship with all these intense feelings and you're not thinking on logic. You're not actually participating in life together before you get married to this person. Because it makes you wonder, was that actually true love? You had true feelings for that person. They were very deep, they were very intense, and they were very genuine. But now you don't have those feelings, and you're wondering, why did I ever have those feelings? It just makes you wonder how you even fell in love with the person. Because here's the thing. What I would say is that, by my definition, that's not true love. When you fall in love deeply with someone and you're constantly obsessed over them and you're constantly thinking about them day in and day out and all these fantasies, that's not actually true love. That is your emotions clouding your judgment. Because true love, it's not often as intense as what I just described. It's much more subtle. It's much more subtle. It's more of like I guess you can call it like a companionship. It feels like you know the person very well. You just get along very well with them. They get along well with you, and there's just harmony. There's just a sense of peace. And it's a feeling that comes from the heart and the entire body. It's not coming from this sense of just love and validation, like from like this intense feeling, like it's like, it's all I feel, just in the heart or in my mind. No, it's like an overall just feeling throughout your entire body. And it's a genuine feeling. It's something that you just know and it just feels right. It's not something that you have to try to force. It's this sense of knowing. It's like your intuition is telling you this is the person. But you don't have to get all worked up about it. You don't have to be constantly obsessing over them and trying to make something happen. No, it just happens very naturally, very calmly, and very easily. Well, not necessarily easily, but it happens in a way that is very different from this intense love that you would feel for other people. That just, you feel it and then it dissipates and goes away. Because this is someone that you begin to accept their flaws. And the flaws don't cloud your judgment of them. Because if you have this intense love, this intense, deep love for someone, initially in the relationship, the flaws, it's like you don't really care. It's like, oh, I accept all of you. I accept all these things about you. Well, eventually, you will get to a point where you don't accept those things anymore. And they will be looking back, oh, I thought you accepted these things about me. Well, eventually, you're not going to accept them, right? You're not. But it's the same thing the other way around. That's what you got to look at it. It's not always all about you. Because the other person, they will also accept things about you that they don't like. But when you get married, or when you start living together for a while, or after several years, when reality starts to set in, who this person is, You no longer accept that. All you're seeing now is flaws. You see the flaws of the person, and that's not true love. Because true love is that you accept the flaws in a very calm, respectful manner, and if there are disagreements, there's not these massive fights that ensue. True love is very hard to come by. It really is. You're not often going to find someone whom you connect with on such a deep level. But you will know it when it happens, because it's not going to be this massively intense thing that's going to dissipate in time. No, it's going to be much slower and much more drawn out, and you're going to feel a sense of peace. This person's not going to aggravate you and make you angry and frustrated. They're going to bring you peace and calm. So just look out for that, and you'll be able to spot the signs that this is the right person, this is true love. But I'm really curious to hear what your thoughts are on this. Have you experienced true love before, and if so, how has that been compared to other types of relationships that have been much more intense? I'm really curious to hear it. So you all take care, have a great one. Thank you so much for watching this video. Catch you later. Bye-bye.